Well, we mentioned yesterday that if we couldn't get a couple of inches of rain out of all of this, that it was going to be a big disappointment, and indeed that wound up being the case with regards to the weather front that's pushing into the eastern part of the United States. The support was tenuous, and in the end, the fact that most of the upper level support is back out to the west around the Great Lakes, so you can see there's rain going on through there. When we see it on the loop, on the satellite loop, you'll get a better view of this. But the thunderstorms really just never materialized. The Storm Prediction Center, with the slight risk of severe all the way down to Delaware, just never really happened. There were a few isolated cells that got a bit on the strong side, but other than a few stripes of heavy rain over parts of northern New Jersey and into the Hudson Valley, where some places got about an inch or so, most of the rain today was very low. Long Island getting some of it now with the frontal boundary close to the coast, so you're seeing surges of moisture running south to north. And you'll notice that this broad circulation here ahead of the upper air system, which is still pretty far to the west. So everything here along the coast is going to be pulled northward. Southern New England, much of New England may do okay with this rain-wise. Connecticut into Massachusetts getting into some solid rain here. And there are still some flash flood watches up for that particular area. But I want to start off with the eastern satellite view. Actually, I'm going to go back to that one in a second. I lost the eastern satellite view. There, no, that's not it either. Where's my eastern satellite view? Well, we'll use the U.S. view. If you take a look at the upper flow here with regards to what's happening, you've got this upper air trough right here along the east coast. The winds aloft are from the south. So the cold front that's with us can only get so far east, and we're going to have to wait for this upper trough to just kind of swing down and around and eventually lift out. But that may take another 36 hours to do. So I think the weather in the east is going to remain rather unsettled, especially for New England and for Long Island, and maybe even for coastal New Jersey going into the day Wednesday. When you have the upper support that far away from where all the main energy is, eventually it just kind of loses out, and that's pretty much what happened here today with regards to this. You look out in the west, by the way, it's pretty calm, not much going on there with any kind of important weather. We've got some clouds streaming down from Canada down into the Rockies. Here's the view from the west coast, and energy is running up into southwestern Canada, but we've got this ridge that's building in the western part of the United States, so weather conditions there are pretty good. So let's go forward and see where we're all headed with all this. Here's the GFS upper air, and again, your cold front with this is already right out way ahead. Actually, I kind of drew it too far east. Let me just redraw that. But your cold front is right there along the coast. Your support aloft is still way to the west. There's your trough. So it really just kind of lost out on all that support today. But now we wait for this upper trough to swing around, which it's going to do, as we show you here. It dives down, swings through on Thursday. So I think, again, there's still going to be some unsettled issues Wednesday into Wednesday night. Now, once that lifts up, here's a second deep trough that drops down into the middle Mississippi Valley and then pivots around, moves towards the East Coast as we move into Sunday night and Monday. So once again, we're going to have a strong southerly flow aloft along the East Coast. Here's your trough. You've got northerly winds here on the back side. Here's your ridge in the west. So this is going to pull up moisture. And the question with regards to this is, if something does come out of the Northwest Caribbean in terms of a tropical depression or maybe even a weak tropical storm, I think there's a fairly good chance that the system will wind up getting absorbed by the extratropical developments that will be going on to the north. So this has a chance of bringing some solid moisture up the eastern seaboard, particularly if the support with this aloft is moving toward the coast and is not as far away as it was today. That, I think, is the big forecast question going forward. We'll show you on the surface map here. Let me just back it up so we can address both the first and here's that first system. And you can see the rain kind of lingers there right along the coast as another low develops. Meanwhile, those of you up in northern Minnesota got a low dropping into Minnesota, Wisconsin with some snow there, maybe even some snow into northwestern Wisconsin with that second low in front. Here we are Saturday afternoon. We've got this trailing front here running south. Here's what could be some kind of lows, whether it's, I kind of think whether it's tropical or non-tropical really isn't that important, because I just don't see how this has any time to develop because of the deep trough in the east. This thing is going to get pulled up fairly quickly. That moisture gets involved with the front as it approaches the coast. This is Sunday morning on the GFS, and right there, here's your front. You know, there's some identity of a low here. Another low that's up in northern Virginia. Gradually, it enhances the moisture, and you do actually get a fairly wrapped up little low there south of Long Island by early Monday morning. So it has potential to produce some decent rains here throughout much of the Northeast if this is correct. And in the meantime, we've got a little bit of rain and wet snow going on around parts of the lakes, some colder air aloft, so you get a little bit of lake effect, but not cold enough for anything problematic.